pleasure to be here today with you, and thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be able to talk with you guys about two of the ways that we use in, as mentioned already, I work and own a medical gym, which is a place where we bring physical therapists and personal trainers. We call them medical fitness trainers. They're basically trainers with an edge. And we work with a lot of folks who have challenges such as Parkinson's. And two of the ways that we try to help enhance strength and movement ability when we work with clients are the topics of today's talk, which these modalities, if you will, are blood flow moderation, which there are several brands of blood flow moderation out there, but Kaatsu is the one we're going to talk about. And then whole body vibration, which is basically a machine that you stand on and it vibrates you while you exercise. And so we're going to talk about some of the evidence behind these and how they might be beneficial for you to consider integrating in with your current regime, the exercise and whatnot that you are already performing to try and enhance your ability to function as you're getting on with dealing with Parkinson's. So Kaatsu is actually it's a Japanese word, and the approach to treating for strength enhancement with this is something that started in Japan decades ago, and it took quite some time to work its way over to the US. Kaatsu actually in Japanese means pressure on. That's what the word translates as. And what it entails is essentially the use of pressure cuffs, very similar to blood pressure cuffs, that are worn around the upper arms, as you see in the image here, or around the upper legs, while you do very light exercise. It's not intensive exercise, and it's not cutting off the blood flow. Those are two very key things for you to understand. What it does is it decreases the ability of the body to flush the blood out of the limbs. The blood's still coming into the limbs very effectively, and this creates a little bit of back pressure, and it challenges the muscles to function. Our body's muscular system requires nutrients in, energy in, if you will, and it has to then get rid of metabolites and waste products. And for them to stay effectively functioning, if you make this more difficult for the muscle, it creates stress. And so we're going to talk in just a moment about how that stress can be beneficial. The blood flow moderation training has been used for decades in the rehab setting to enable effective training for people who are more deconditioned. But of late, it has become quite popular in the sporty population as well, because the benefits have been shown to be so marked. The professional sports teams are using it, the US military is using it, and even high-level athletes are using it to enhance their strength and endurance training. So it really has applicability across the board, the spectrum of everybody that may want to use such an approach. So I want to go for a moment with you into how it works. What is the concept? Why would putting pressure cuffs on your arms or legs be beneficial for you? And it has to do with how the body deals with stress, really. When we think about stress in an inanimate object, a piece of wood, a piece of metal, stress is not a good thing. You stress a piece of metal out and you do that repeatedly, eventually something breaks, right? I mean, if your car, for instance, if something gets stressed and worn and stressed and worn, eventually it wears out and it breaks. The wonderful thing about biological systems, our bodies, is that they have a different response to stress. And there are different types of stress that can be brought to bear on the body, but essentially if you apply a little stress, what we call a training dose, or the therapeutic dose of stress, the body has the ability to toughen up, to grow stronger and better at handling that stress, as opposed to a piece of metal or a piece of wood, which would eventually just wear out and break. So, if we think about mental stress, you've all been there, you've had mental stress, a deadline approaching, something like that, and essentially some people find that they work better under a little pressure. You got a deadline, it makes you more focused, more vigilant, you're on guard, so to speak. If you have excessive stress, that's when it becomes a problem, right? If you have intense, over-the-top stress for too long, your body can't respond well to it, and you end up having a nervous breakdown if it's mental stress, right? For physical stress, we call this the training effect. And so if you load the muscles and the tendons and the bones, lifting weights, for instance, we know that that's stress applied to the muscles. And over time, the muscles respond by getting bigger and stronger. The bones get denser and harder and better at handling the stress. But if you put too much, you lift too much weight all at one time, you don't give the body a chance to respond, you end up with an injury, right? You tear the muscle, you strain a muscle, you sprain a ligament or a joint, right? And physiologic stress then is what I want to really focus on, because that's what Kaatsu applies. This cuff around your arm or your leg is going to cause the muscles to have to function in a state where they're challenged. They're not getting the normal, easy flow of blood through them that they're used to getting. And so they're challenged by that, and it creates stress. And that physiologic stress causes the body to have a release of growth hormone, testosterone, and other endocrine factors, things like insulin-like growth factors, and things that are basically going to kick your body into what we think of as grow mode, right? You're going to grow stronger, you're going to develop more endurance, and your body is going to have what we think of as an amplified response to the strength training that you're already doing. We know that if you do exercise, you get stronger. Or if you challenge your balance, like with the Tai Chi this morning, then you develop better balance. Exercise is supposed to challenge the body, but if there's something you can do that gives you an edge, that makes your body respond more profoundly to the very same exercise you're already putting the time and energy into doing, that's worth thinking about, right? And so the Kaatsu, or the blood flow moderation training, it's not really something that's intended to stand alone. I would never tell somebody, stop going to the gym, stop working out, just put these cuffs on your arms and do this for 10 minutes and you'll be good, right? Typically, it's more of an adjunct. It's something that amplifies. It makes it so that your body's going to have a much more profound response to the exercises you're already doing. In the gym, when we work with folks doing this, it's usually a precursor to their usual exercise routine. They're going to put the cuffs on, they're going to spend 10, maybe 15 minutes, 20 at the long side, doing this Kaatsu, and as a result, their body now is amped up. It's released all of these endocrine factors that are going to make their body respond better, and then they get into their usual routine. So let's, my flicker is not changing anything here. Oh, there we go. So physiologic stress and the training response. Basically, when you put these cuffs around the arms or legs, as you see here, this gentleman's wearing them on the legs, and here we have the master unit, and it basically is providing air pressure through the hose into the cuff, and we're going to base that pressure, how much pressure you put on the legs or arms, determined by how much pressure your arteries are providing, how much ease with which your body can refill the capillaries after you're exerting. So we don't want to put too much pressure, but at the same time, it's got to be enough to create that stress. What we find is that the strength and conditioning exercises can be accomplished with a lot less loading. So you're able to do exercise and not have to push quite as hard to get the same result. And for a lot of folks, that's the challenge. You know, being able to exert yourself vigorously is not so much of an option once you start dealing with Parkinson's or other neuromuscular disorders. And so something that allows you to have a response without having to be so vigorous is also a very big plus. The idea that you can do it without as much load also decreases the wear and tear on your joints, and it decreases the amount of time that you have to spend in order to get a positive response from your body. Waiting on there we go. So that's the Kaatsu, or the blood flow moderation training. The other thing that we are going to talk about this morning is called whole body vibration. And whole body vibration is also referred to in short as WBV training, is a way that you can basically stand on a vibrating plate and it shakes you. It basically shakes your whole body while you're standing there doing very simple in-place exercises. The exercises are either going to be holding type things where you simply try to maintain a position while your body is shaking, It might be small hand weight type movements or squatting in place, stepping in place, heel toe raises, that kind of a thing. Sometimes we will challenge by turning different directions on the machine or incorporating even some balance things where you try to maintain balance while your arms are up in the air. Therapist is right there, trainer's right there to kind of help you keep your balance. But in any case, the effects of this, the vibration has a very similar effect actually to what the Kaatsu or the cuff, pressure cuff training does. It will gently and effectively engage all of the nerves, muscles, joints, lymph, and circulatory system in your body through the vibration. And it activates over 90% of the muscle groups in your body all at one time. That's kind of the benefit of having the vibration go through your whole body. When your body is vibrated like this, the muscles are going to develop a contraction as a reflex. You know when the doctor taps your knee with a hammer and you kind of kick, and you didn't mean to kick, but your body just sort of does it? That's a reflex contraction. And similar to that hammer tap on the knee, which is very comfortable, it doesn't bother you to have that, right? If you could take tiny little hammers and just get every muscle in your body to react that way at one time, that's a similar concept, right? So all the muscles are engaging, and they're going to be activated. Every vibration, every wave that comes through your body is going to create a small contraction. And that accumulates over time. It increases the body's response to the simple exercises by helping build muscle, increases bone density, improves circulation, and it decreases abnormal tone, which is a very key one for Parkinson's, right? So it's going to decrease stiffness and rigidity. How does this happen? Well, basically, when you apply vibration to the body, you're creating a muscular load and activating the muscles, but you're also improving blood flow through those muscles, all of which are good things for the body to respond. The other things that you're going to find is that when you're using vibration training, it's going to have a similar effect to cardio training or strength training, and it's on par with that, but in some cases it's been shown to actually be better, to have a more profound effect. It can be safer and more comfortable than traditional exercise. Again, if you don't have to lift as heavy of a weight to make it work, that's going to be less wear and tear on the body, less effort that you have to exert to get a similar response. What I put here at the bottom is really the underlying mechanism of how vibration training does what it does. You kind of would think, well, I'm standing on this silly shaky plate here, how is this going to make my muscles get stronger? And I think that that's a really good question that should go through your head. Essentially, in physics, we know that force is equal to the mass of an object times the acceleration that that object undergoes, right? And in traditional weight training or strength training, the way that we put a force or a load on the muscles is by increasing the mass, or how much you lift, right? You pick up heavier weights, over time your muscles get stronger, you go get more mass, pick up more weights, and that's how you increase the force. What we're doing here in vibration training is we're turning this equation around, and rather than the mass being the part of that we're increasing, we're using acceleration. And the vibration, every time it vibrates you, it is accelerating your body upwards. And then your body falls a tiny little distance, and then it vibrates it upwards again. So that vibration is a constant acceleration over and over and over, every little vibration wave that goes through you. And that is what's going to create the force, rather than having to pick up heavier weights. Okay? So what are the general effects of vibration training? Very similar to the blood flow moderation. It promotes energy and endurance. It creates stronger and more effective core muscles. You're having to maintain kind of a tension the whole time to steady yourself on the machine. It increases bone density, enhances circulation, and decreases swelling. The swelling change is amazing. We've seen people who really aren't even able to stand on the machine that come in with pretty severe edema in the legs and the feet, and they will sit at the machine with their feet on the plate and just let it vibrate their feet for 10 to 15 minutes, and you can literally see that the swelling coming down. So because the circulation changes. So it's very, very helpful that way. It improves flexibility, agility, balance, and mobility, all good things, right? And it's a neuromuscular stimulator and enhancer. In other words, the connection between your nervous system and your muscular system, so it makes you better able to fire those muscles. Also, it does reduce joint pain and stiffness. So if somebody's dealing with arthritis, you will find that if they get on the vibration machine and just gently move the joint that's achy, that vibration effect does tend to dampen the pain response. And like the Kaatsu, it elevates growth hormone, testosterone, serotonin, and suppresses cortisol, which is a stress hormone. So all very good stuff, stuff that would make your body respond more powerfully to exercise. Alrighty. The other side of this equation is that it has a very specific effect on your circulatory system, or cardiovascular effect. Putting that vibration through the muscles causes the muscles to contract as frequently as the vibration occurs. So if the machine is vibrating at 40 hertz, which is kind of middle of the range, they go from 0 hertz all the way up to about 100 hertz typically. You're getting about 2,400 contractions per minute. So that's a lot of little tiny contractions, and that's the cumulative thing that works for you. Rapid muscle firing does cause more circulation through the muscles. And this affects the health of your circulatory system. So it makes the blood vessels open up. We call that vasodilation. And it also causes your increased perfusion or circulation through the muscles. Vasodilation and cardiorespiratory responses are improved, and we see changes in blood pressure, cholesterol, and triglycerides. So all things that we're looking at to see, hey, are you at risk of a stroke or a heart attack? How is your cardiovascular health? So all, again, just very good things that are fringe benefits, really. It's not, I don't know that that's the main reason most people use it, but it's sure a nice side effect, right? Along with just general aging, we know that as we age, we tend to decrease somewhat our sense of balance, and we're more prone to tripping and falling. So in geriatric clients, as well as stroke victims, and any sort of neurological disease and neuromuscular diseases, balance and stability are really critical issues. And we have seen that the whole body vibration does bring a safe, effective way to improve balance and stability in all of these different disease populations. There's a pretty significant body of evidence out there to show that. In neurological diseases specifically, what does the evidence show? We know that it has a positive effect on strength and endurance, on proprioception, which you guys had a lot of knowledge imparted to you about by the Tai Chi demonstration in the last presenter, which is proprioception improves your gait, the way you walk, your balance, and your stability. And then, generally speaking, health-related quality of life measures. There are a number of surveys that a lot of research looks at where they have people fill out various aspects of their life and what they're able to do, and they've shown general improvement that way. I think this is an important point here that, there are a number of studies out on vibration training that have shown that it's better in some ways than traditional strength and balance type training work. There are also a number of studies conflicting with these that show it's exactly the same as if you were to just go and work out or do balance exercises of another sort. There are no studies that show it to be worse. So basically, it's not a resounding, oh my gosh, everybody better go do this right now because it's 10 times better than anything else you could do. But there's enough evidence out there to show that it has a good chance it might be better, and it might help you in a number of ways, more than just your usual regular exercise type stuff that you're doing or therapy that you might be engaging in. But at the very least, it's not going to do any harm. It might help, and it's not going to hurt, right? So again, it's an adjunct. What do our therapists and trainers see day in, day out in the clinic? I sent out a survey to them and asked them, hey, let me know, what are you guys really seeing immediately when you work with these folks from day to day, week to week? We have a pretty large group that are working with these folks. And I think, again, between whole body vibration and the Kaatsu cuffs, you're going to see a lot of similarities in the responses. But we're seeing increased strength with less exertion, improved posture alignment, stronger posture muscles, and less trunk stiffness, improved flexibility of the muscles and joints generally, decreased swelling, and decreased overnight incontinence. We do tend to focus on things like performing core engagement and pelvic floor engagement activities while they're on the vibration trainer. or with wearing the Kaatsu, and that can be quite helpful. On the Kaatsu side, similarly, increased strength, less exertion. It does allow interval training, which is another mode of strength training that is become very popular in the mainstream, but can be a challenge when you aren't able to exert as vigorously. And so this allows that. Improved posture, increased range and flexibility, big motions are possible, improved oxygen saturation, improved pelvic floor strength, energy levels, and sleep. All good stuff. So this is what we're seeing in the clinic, and the patients are coming back and reporting these as the benefits that they're perceiving day in, day out. So that is everything that I've got for you. This is obviously my contact information if you would like to get a hold of me. And we do have a table outside there with brochures and business cards available.
So much.
You're very welcome. Thanks, y'all.